Never mind.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's show. We are joined by Everything is Fine, Brad, and QA for Queer Ass Mike.
All the assurance, bitches.
But guys, we are here to obviously answer your questions, put them in the live chat. Also check out OTYS if you're interested in age domains to kick off your affiliate journey.
Is your vibrator drawer going off, Mike?
Nah.
Sounds like you
Someone
got
says-
the air machine on again.
Yeah, that's it. He's busy painting.
Everything's fine.
He's talking on here whilst just painting down below.
I think most calls I have with him, he's painting something. Paint me like one of your French girls, Mike.
Treat you like a French girl?
Paint me.
Oh, I will. I actually have one on the wall right over here.
I figured.
You're on the couch with grapes, bro.
Yeah. What up, Marco?
What's up, dude?
How's
Marco
it going,
from
Mike?
Greece.
Is that Marco?
Marco. Every Marco's Marco. Polo.
Hello.
Kenny Diamond.
I like that name.
What, the diamond part or the Kenny part?
Yeah, Kenny. I just really like Kenny's for some reason. Oh, the Kenny Diamond together.
That's his favorite name.
Yeah.
Any relation to Neil?
Neil Patel?
No, Diamond.
No. I saw Neil Patel's doing a bunch of shit on Instagram all of a sudden. Like, would you take $1 million or knowledge or something like that? He's like, no, $1 million all day.
I've stopped watching that guy. Stop
Yeah, he
watching.
just popped up. Yeah, I was interrupted. My twerking videos were interrupted. He was on Instagram for some reason.
Dude, this chair is like broken, dude.
Remember when you broke the chair during a webinar?
Yeah, dude, that was rad. Right over there. And I fell.
Yeah. I was laughing, but aghast at the same time.
It was a little sad.
Do we have any questions? Or are we just
We do. So there's a question about topical authority versus cannibalizing on your own rankings. So the guy's example is I want to rank for lead generation. There's some articles that I want to publish. A foolproof guide. These are the articles. A foolproof guide.
I thought of Chase the other day. We were coming out of the gas station, me and my kids, and there was a Corvette parked there getting gas. And they said, "Is that a Ferrari?" I said, "No, it's a Corvette." And then the lesbian jumped in the car and rode off. So I thought of Chase.
Yeah.
Because of the car.
Well, we appreciate the donation, Chase.
Yes, thank you very much.
I talked to Chase last week, and I need to talk to Chase this week. Chase is fun.
What about Duck? Did you get in touch with him?
With who?
Dirk.
Duck? Yeah.
Dirk. If he undoes one more button, we'll get in touch with him.
Yeah.
Duck,
One more.
I have told them, but you need to undo one more button.
He's too pretty for us.
That was the guy I sent you the message about the other day.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so here we go. Shut up. That's my answer. No. Okay, so we got lead generation. Dude wants to rank for. He wants to write a foolproof guide to building your first lead generation strategy. And the simplest lead generation strategy to get business leads. 5 elements of a lead generation strategy that always wins. Okay, so he's talking about continuing to go around this. His question is, in essence, this is all around lead generation, different angles. But I think there would be some overlap and hinder the results of each piece, or am I wrong? What would be a better way to write around the topic? Of course, I can do lead generation plus LinkedIn plus cold calling and expand from there. But I wonder if the 3 examples above would result in a good outcome, or I'd hinder my chances. Or should I make sure there is no as little possible overlap? So what are your guys' thoughts there? So we got, again, foolproof guide to building your first lead generation strategy, the simplest lead generation strategy to get business leads, and 5 elements of a lead generation strategy that always wins.
Include all of them. Do them all.
So, but is it cannibalization, topical authority to write all that? Like,
I guess look and see for one of the keywords is the competition already ranking for all of those with one page or multiple? Because that's how you're going to want to break it up. What they're doing now.
So I think one of the ways to look at it too is I don't have anything going on over here. Sorry, it's not mine. Sucks.
It's definitely Mike's.
Deal with it. I can't.
Definitely Mike's.
If I can't hear it, it doesn't fucking matter. Or
it's Mike's.
Like, I just don't care. Basically, if you're looking at a foolproof guide to building your first lead generation strategy versus the simplest lead generation strategy and 5 elements of a lead generation strategy, I mean, there are differences there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say those are different enough without looking into it that I would include those as separate articles and then reference each one of them.
And one of the ways, go ahead, Craig.
No, carry on.
I thought you were saying something? I'm sorry.
Nah.
All right. So one of the ways to ensure that, and I'm looking at that, like, so do we see that as the same intent group, or is that different people looking for different things at different times of that funnel?
What do you see, Brad?
I mean, if they're targeting different core topics, I mean, it's all lead generation, but if the whole fucking site's about lead generation, it's not going to be a one-page site. So you got to break it up.
So let's see. In there, we were talking about simple, right? It said simple. Then we also have like elements. So I definitely think that those are similar intent, but they're not the exact same. Like if I'm looking for a simple lead generation strategy for something or other, then I'm not necessarily looking for the 5 elements yet. Maybe I would be leading into that. They sound like almost like supports to me.
Yeah. Is it 5 elements of lead generation?
Yeah, 5 elements of lead generation strategies that always win.
See, I would put that under lead generation strategy.
Yeah.
And then the simple would be a support of the lead generation strategy, because your primary article would be the 5. I would probably include more than 5, but yeah.
So under strategy here, like, so yeah, so I pulled it real quick. Like we've got lead generation strategy examples, and so effective lead generation. So those are all modifiers of the same thing. But let's, I would say potentially like 5 elements would be under top or best or something like that, rather than strategy too, if you wanted to like frame it that way. I think it'd go both ways, but definitely don't think that it's going to murder his site to write all these as separate. I think
it's like I mean, it's on the fence when you're looking at like teen car insurance versus young driver car insurance. Is that the same keyword or is it different? Because young driver might be 21, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And that's something where you really do have to look at the SERPs, and you have to look at the match words. You got to go and look at what's going on when you're in something like COG or something like that. Like it really does depend. I had a conversation with Wicked and it's this morning about content generation and content automation, because everyone, like, we're all writing and like same kind of thing. I went into what you're doing with SERP Shaker into that a little bit too, and really it comes.
Are they still strictly using Splogs or?
Yeah, some of them are actually. So. Yeah. But the problem is that a lot of these things that are out there that people are using that they think are AI and super unique are like coming back and reading is just like GPT-2, and Google can really see what it is. Like there's a lot of factors in there. And what people are missing, I think, is that if you break apart the groups and the entity, like if Google wants to see factor A term with, you know, this close to factor B term, and you break that apart because you're like auto-generating content or spinning it or whatever, you have someone writing that doesn't know what they're doing, then you are going to not position as well, not going to debut as well, and you're not going to end up ranking finally as well as if you kept those groups together. So going back to the SERP is always key. It's always key to go back to what is actually working. And like if you look at like Leo at Keyword Cupid, when he's doing stuff, like he's not It's like some of the scrapers we've written. You're scraping everything and you're rewriting stuff, but you're not rewriting the header, right? You're not rewriting that optimization point is what I'm getting at. Like there's little things. You can only break it apart so much until you break the authority or the EAT, whatever the hell you want to call it, of the content, and then screw the site up yourself, you know? So I think that with those things right there, like that kind of question, the best way to answer it is to go in and look at the data, like you said, dude. And like, okay, is this site ranking for all of that on one page? So simply pull the top 3 or 4 ranking sites for that, and then analyze the rankings and see those keywords that come out of that title right there. Are they on the same page or are they on different pages? You know what I mean? 100% think that's the way to do it. I agree. I don't know, Craig.
It's easy to do too. I mean, you just throw it in Ahrefs or whatever you're using.
Absolutely. And that's how I would look at that as a question, or to answer that for myself. I don't think I ever.
And then I guess to go to the next level, it's like, okay, if all of these are supposed to be on the same page, because that's what's ranking, then you've got to go in and look at, okay, what the fuck do I use for my clusters now, since they're all on the same page? Right. Then you've got to go look at the competition again. And just like we were talking on the client call the other day, what internal links are they getting into this page? And then there's your...
It's kind of the same thing repetitively that we've been saying for 5 or 6 years. Like, it really does not change, and it really will not change. You're going
5 or 6 years ago, I would just link everything to everything. I would just was it Collapsomatic? It would just be like blocks of anchor text at the bottom.
Do you remember WP Snowball? Either of you?
No.
WP Snowball was like almost like a wild card thing where it would just create these like clusters of related terms, like as pages back in the day. It was like 2012, 13 or something when it came out. And like the wildcard spam was like, if someone did a search, then it would just create a subdomain for that keyword. Like you get a subdomain for every keyword that came in from a user from the search. And you just keep creating it. So you'd always have a page for whatever someone is searching. And WP Snowball would do the same thing. It would just keep creating pages based on search that comes in. You know, they kind of encrypted everything, so it changed the way stuff works. But it's really interesting how the concept kind of maintains to this day. It's when you're paying attention to what's going on with your competitor rankings and then your traffic or any clickstream data. If you're continuously creating elements for your website, and I'm not saying necessarily new pages, but if you're creating elements for your website that are always touching on what the market's doing, then you're going to stay on top of it. And I think that goes back to like, do I do this as one article or do I do this as 3 articles? The answer could be either or until you go and see what's really happening. And then when you go and see what's really happening, that is what you should be doing, whether you think you agree or not.
So Flavia wants to automatically create loads of websites from a list of keywords, but not WordPress because there are hundreds of thousands of pages, kind of a review website. Is that something you guys have any tools or anything like that that can
why would you why would it just be too big from a file size perspective if it's WordPress? Like, why not WordPress?
You know, good. Maybe jump over to MiniNet Training and sign up there, read that, and then I think we'll have some updates coming out for that soon too. If I don't truly understand the question, so if you want to kind of expand on it.
Yeah, is it MPP that's HTML based?
Yeah, MPP Magic Page, I think, was a plugin for WordPress.
That's a plugin for WordPress, yeah.
What was the one?
Like Pandora Box. There's a bunch that are.
I know if Rob's here, he'll know.
Was HTML. MPC was Magic Page Creator is HTML.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the only HTML one that I know of.
But you can use it. You could use WordPress and just cache the site, like generate it wherever you want, cache it, and then throw it up as HTML if you wanted to do that. If you're worried about the load time. I mean, I really personally wouldn't worry too much about WordPress. Work hard over some number of pages. It can.
Yeah, probably.
It's not going to work hard. I mean, I've had WordPress sites that are hundreds of thousands of pages that are doing fine. I mean, it depends
on the server. Yeah. Also, you're going to have a tough time getting that many pages indexed.
That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't even worry about it. I would not worry about
That's it. Thank you. I knew Rob would know.
I think that the trade-off in using like for kind of like auto-generated sites like that, the trade-off in using WordPress is worth it to some extent, especially when you throw out the worry of like security and things, and you don't really. It's not like a top-level business. If you're doing GMB, I might say something different. If you're like just going with Lander type thing and doing HTML, but there are benefits.
Yeah, but even with GMB now, I still switch it up quite a bit because I want to have those supports on there, and it's way easier to add the supports once you have a WordPress install up.
Yeah, and realistically, there's a lot more functionality that you have at your fingertips if you're using the CMS like WordPress over HTML in certain situations.
What do you think about this, Mike? Because it's something I ran into in a local market. So they had one relatively strong site, and within the GMB, I haven't really checked organic because it's local. They're ranking for stuff that I would normally break out onto a separate page. It's like City plus methadone clinic, City plus Suboxone clinic, stuff like that. I would typically use those as supports in the industry. But the competition is so low that they just mentioned them on the page. And I think that's where they're ranking because they do have some authority. Would you still break those out just because?
Not if I don't have to.
Yeah.
No, because I mean, you can strengthen the entity for the location or whatever across the whole site. I mean, it depends where. If you're going, I mean, you've seen it. If you're going against what the optimization has been on the site and Google's ranking it for where it's ranking it, you can get into that struggle to fight Google to change where that target is. I mean, I wouldn't if I don't have to. I wouldn't change it personally.
What about breaking it out, but then, of course, essentially hubbing out the homepage, and you've got the terminology on the homepage, and it's linking to the internal pages, which are then linking back to the homepage, and just have it from there.
I guess it still come back to the internal, like to the competition level. Do I need to establish?
I really don't think it's going to be that much competition, so that's why I don't know. I'm fucking around with a bunch of stuff with that one. It's just a test GMB. I'm seeing.
Gotcha. That's that one from at the address or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, no, I might.
I mean, they're all easy keywords within. I mean, relatively speaking.
Realistically, if it gets more competitive in the area, then you might want to have something established. You know, if it's not that. I mean, if you're ranking by just mentioning and no one's competing really, I don't think you're going to cause yourself an issue.
Yeah.
You know, I think it'd be fine personally.
Yeah.
But I'm just lazy.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Not me, Craig. Never.
He's in hell.
Yeah. No, this office is burning. Everything's fine.
You're in hell, bro.
Yeah.
You're redoing your floors. Are those done yet?
No, I'm still at the office today. Everything's fine.
Like for a week now.
Oh, I knew it was going to be like a month. Yeah.
That's brutal, bro. I mean, honestly, though, I would prefer that to like having to do what I'm doing every day after I work, like on the 6 acres. To be honest.
I thought you enjoyed that last year.
I do enjoy it. I just don't like having to do anything. Yeah. I don't like that I have to do it.
What do you do like on a daily basis? What are you doing on the farm?
I got to check the water. There's just a bunch of shit I have to do. Make sure the water and the irrigation hasn't fucked up and shit like that.
You got to feed the sheep?
No, the chickens.
The chickens feed the sheep? What kind of sheep you got?
Monkey chickens. Sheep.
Nice.
The kids feed the animals.
You've just got chickens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad too because eggs are freaking not here, dude. There's no fucking eggs in town, dude. It's crazy, man.
There's no eggs?
No, they can't get eggs after that culling of all those damn chickens, dude. Like the shipping is still fucked here.
Time to eat them, isn't it?
I mean, I have eggs. No, I have eggs. There's no eggs at the grocery store.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant your chickens weren't producing.
No, they produce eggs. Like we get full a day. Like we're good. We have a lot of eggs. You know, the cool thing about like when you have chickens and you have eggs that are coming from chickens, they're not clean to the point where they go bad. You can leave them out of the freaking fridge for a long time.
I've heard that. Yeah, you just never put them in the fridge. Yeah.
Yeah, you can water glass them too, dude, and lime, and like they'll last forever, dude.
You should write a blog post, rank it for a day in the life of an SEO, and like have all the optimization points going, and then just talk about fucking farming the whole time.
That's right. That's right.
It's like Kyle's lorem ipsum thing, except fucking instead of lorem ipsum, it's just you ranting about farming. Then, I'm really glad I've got these eggs because I can't get eggs at the store. Then you mentioned COVID and go off about that. And, that would be an interesting test.
That would be an interesting test, and people would learn about eggs.
Eggs, farming. Got you checking the water, and you can have your pictures of like your broken valves and shit up there.
Yeah, dude, I had to replace 4 of them yesterday.
How do they break?
I have no fucking idea, dude. Like sometimes it'll clog. Like sometimes it'll be like the sediment when it stops and starts. Like when the main line was leaking, like everyone out here, we're on a gravity well when we irrigate. So that feeds everybody. And then if that 6-inch line has a problem, then no one has water down line from that. So it's just a bitch, dude. All right, we have an SEO question, and I have a bunch.
Oh, good.
Probably talk about SEO on the SEO show, dude.
You're not going to talk about it in the day of the life of an SEO post. So
the same thing, like you're going to want to probably do the same, like do all of that. Like you can optimize like your site in a category.
You can cluster within a silo.
Yeah, exactly. So your silo might be irrigation water, and then your topic cluster might be ball valves and winterizing ball valves so that you don't lose your line.
Winterize your balls.
Winterize your ball valve, bro. But seriously though, like you're gonna be your internal groups. If you go crawl like one of your competitors, they will have a silo structure because everyone does for the most part. It's a category. They will have a silo structure, and inside of that silo structure, they'll have like a pillar page and then support pages, and those will link to each other, and that is the topic cluster. And then on the page, you will be able to see what keywords are on that page, and then you can break it apart by there. The facial expression for Craig is nice during the farming talk.
It's just the thoughts. It's the thoughts that are going through my head, thinking I might waking up in the morning with maybe has pants on, going out to do stuff with the chickens. I'm not sure. Just it's things.
Have you ever seen Green Acres, Craig? The old.
Nah.
Oh, you gotta. I'll send you a link. Green Acres is the place for me.
I don't wear pants, dude.
So just
overalls.
I actually do have overalls, bro.
Yeah, I believe it.
When I go out and I use the weed eater and I hit the alfalfa like it's supposed to be where it's at, I'm wearing big ass fucking overalls like Dickies, dude, for sure.
Dickies, huh? Dickies. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you wear
not Carhartt?
Overalls with
I have Carhartt too.
I figured.
Surely overalls with flip flops is the SEO style.
That is the dude. People trip out when I wear my sandals around here, dude. The bar downtown actually has a sign that says "Take your sandal and winter wearing ass back to California." It's really
that's
fun.
Weird that they would have it at the gay bar that you go to. You'd think they'd be accepting of sandals and whatnot.
I mean, we do live on a farm and a ranch. I mean, what do you expect? Do you expect us to stay straight all year long? I mean,
no, not at all. I don't know how you would.
Gay for this day, baby.
Yeah.
I was down at Ryan Durrani's stag do last week or whatever it was, and the lads were putting in the kind of dress codes because we were going to a bar at night time, and they're like, Craig, no fucking shorts and flip flops.
Mike Long yelled at me one time, because not yelled at it, but he's like, "We're all going out. Are you going to wear that?" I had like khaki shorts on or whatever. I was like, "I was planning on it, Mike." "No, you can't do that." And then he had gotten on someone else, so I had to like run back up to the room, throw on jeans, and go out. But then he's like, I walk up to someone else. He's like, "Yeah, Mike didn't like my shoes." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "These are his shoes. He's got tiny feet. My feet are squeezed in these."
That's hilarious. Someone else's shoes. He made someone wear shoes, bro.
Kurt Inget, he made Kurt put on his shoes.
Dude, that is so funny, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
In
no
Vegas.
one shit. Like, even when we were in Anaheim and shit, I was cutting about with shorts and flip flops on in the
Yeah.
posh restaurant that people went to eat and all that. I wasn't giving a fuck.
Mike Long was wearing a sequins or glitter or something like tuxedo looking thing.
Fuck that shit, man. I'm allergic to that shit.
Dude, I just don't care that much.
I'm wearing gray sweatpants right now, so
I love gray sweatpants.
yeah, I know.
I like that green on you, bro. It's very pretty.
I wear this all the time.
Those stripes look good on you, Craig.
Soccer stripes.
It's like being the father of 2 daughters or something, dude. Like I say one thing to like my wife or one of the girls, dude, and then I look around, there's 2 more girls there, and I have to give 2 more compliments, or I feel like a dickhead, dude.
That's the Scotland badge.
There we go.
Anyway,
Did you play what through high school, or did you play in college, or how long did you play soccer, Craig?
up until I was about 32.
And it took you that long to get through college?
Yeah. I was done.
You stopped like 10 years ago?
We don't play football in college. That's not how it works over here. And we just play.
That's like it's like your lifeblood, dude. Like that's like you gotta play it for your town, dude, because that's how it's like gang banging and shit.
It's like basketball in North Carolina.
It's
I
a
can't play
different. You're too small.
Dude, my daughter's best friend here, the guy that owns the flight, he's a pilot and he owns the fucking airline here. He played fucking like pro French EU basketball, dude, after high school for like 3 years, man. I didn't even know that shit was a thing, to be honest.
I mean, I've heard of people going over there that can't make it. They don't have like a bush league like baseball for basketball, do they? Or they have one, but it's like a lot smaller.
There's like multi-level, he said, and like there is like it's like he said soccer, not football, but he said it's like soccer over there, where just a bunch of rowdy ass knuckleheads, dude. I don't picture French playing frickin' basketball, dude.
Where's Dirk from? He's Germany, right? Nowitzki?
Malta.
Oh, is he Malta?
Yeah. Anyway,
the country in the world.
Flavia has a question.
Flavia,
product aggregator or both for affiliate
Bradley has an answer.
Huh?
Bradley has an answer.
I do. I don't do a ton
I
of
think the blog is an information site. I just see it all as the same thing. But I mean, for where we're at right now, you can do a product aggregator if you've got traffic on. I just wouldn't focus there if I am just trying to start, to be honest.
Like we did with Nutrafol, bringing them into the blog and then dispersing them from there. Because I mean, we were working with a hair supplement company that had 2 products. Literally, it was, to my knowledge, it was the same product. Just one was for men, one was for women, one was in blue, one was in pink or whatever. So there was no product aggregation there. So all we did was like hair care articles and shit like that and push people over. And we increased them from 8 to 100,000 a month through SEO. So.
Yeah, so to be clear, like when I say an info site, like or a blog, like you should be, if you're writing reviews, like you're aggregating the product on that page anyways, because you should be comparing multiple products there, trying to monetize them all. I mean, and that's what Google wants to see. I mean, they want to see, you can read their description of what they want on their product review pages, and it is, multimedia and multiple products and adding to the conversation. So if you need to add to the conversation and you need to use multimedia, like it's going to be easier at the beginning, I think, to do an info, like a comparison on a blog than it is to like build an aggregation, I can't even think of the word right now. Bucket, whatever. A recommendation engine is what I was thinking of. But yeah, that's right. Sowing the seeds of SEO and how to harvest better rankings to grow your business. There you go. That's the article. We're doing it. How long does it take for GSC to properly track data? So this guy's asking, like, the metrics are off. How long does it take for Search Console to properly track data?
When do any of them properly track data?
That's a good answer.
The thing is, we done a lot of click-through rate. Google Suggest. We were trying to manipulate Google Suggest, and This was last year. We were trying this shit, me and a few friends, Dooley and stuff. You know who Dooley is, and it took Ahrefs about 9 months to really show the increase in it. Honestly, it's all popping now, and we've stopped doing the Google Suggest thing months ago, and that's it only now popping in Ahrefs and shit like that. So there's a massive fucking lag going on.
Even the change of address and shit takes 180 days sometimes. It takes a long time for that shit to port and to make sense. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would just keep plugging away and watching your sales metrics and your revenue.
Exactly.
You can make decisions based on what they have. Okay. There's one question about, is it okay to run Google Ads onto a no-indexed page?
You can. Yeah. Like we do it on subdomains all the time.
Yeah. You absolutely can. But then you do want to make sure that if you are converting on the same page and you can convert on the same page, you might want to take advantage of the bot following those ads.
Yeah.
And everything. So it's a decision based on like how you're running it. If it's a completely different funnel and it has nothing to do with search whatsoever, then I wouldn't concern myself too much with that.
Makes sense. Guys, yous are all quiet in the chat there. Give us questions.
I think we've offended enough people, they're not coming back.
Yeah, exactly. They won't tell us anything bad about you.
It only took, 14 months?
Yeah. No, dude, it's longer than that.
At least Chase likes us.
Longer.
Dude, it's been like 2 years.
Really?
It has.
Time flies when you're suicidal.
When COVID was on, that shit started.
Was that when we started? Yeah, it was. Yeah, because I was in the office. Yeah.
So this guy has two dentists that are splitting up. It's a wife and husband that were married and were business partners, and now they're poof. That's why you don't go into business with your wife. Let's just say that.
Craziest. It was craziest Christmas party I've ever been to. It was the exact same situation, except with home inspectors. It was a couple that was together. They got divorced, and they had rival home inspection companies. And one was throwing a Christmas party, so the other's like, "Fuck you! I'm having a Christmas party on the same night, and it's gonna be better." And the other one was like, "Fuck you! The hell it is!" And then like I went to one of them. It was like, you walk in, and it's crazy. Like people were fucking raving in there.
It is
home inspection.
He's got the situation like that where they're dominating for like all the major money terms, at least like in the top three, like in the pack, right? And that site is going to be used as just like a door page that points to both websites. So they're splitting. They're taking the old website and they're going to use that to lead it to his and hers dentist site, right? Like bathroom shit, like his and her sinks. Hers is ready, his is not. There's no direction or rules. How do they use the old site to pass on some of that authority and ranking power? They had sub pages that they did a lot of link building for, and they don't want it to go to waste. And they want.
I would just leave the same site up and, like you said, essentially create a doorway page, have everything pointing back to the homepage. If you need to add content or keep the same content on there, put it in an accordion. And then just have, the navigation to his and her
site. Both sites in that situation, I say, would be the way, and keeping the site live and not, because the next part the guy says is that he's going to see, we're looking to having 301s from those pages to point to the new secondary pages. The business profile, it's not been decided who gets to keep it. I honestly think in that situation, the best way to handle it would be to like, hey, let this be run by the third party and let the leads go to, split those 50-50. I personally would not want to try to split that between two sites myself. I mean,
I wonder how close the two offices are, because just make it like a multi-location.
Exactly.
You hit the landing page, which one's closer to you?
Yep. There's actually some advantage if you continue that way to that too. Like if you continued going that way, but the hard part is when you think about reality and you're talking about a divorce. I mean, who knows what happened, and someone might want to harm somebody. So that's a fun.
I would just go with whoever pays me more.
Well, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that he's working for him. Her side is done. His is not, though. So not doing a great job if that's the case, dude.
Remember the dentist site that we did that one time? And she's like, take all these teeth off my site.
That was so weird, bro.
Yeah. I was like, this dentist site looks like a hotel site. I'll fix this. She had like a Squarespace, like one of the standard package Squarespace sites. And I was like, this is horrible. I'm going to get you a way better site. So I make it. And she's like, what are all these fucking teeth on here? I was like, you're a dentist. She's like, get rid of them. Okay.
This is an interesting one. So 58,000 impression in 3 days, but only 41 clicks. Is it my headlines? I'm thinking it's my headlines. So I've got some thoughts there, but what do you think of when you hear that shit?
Impressions?
Yeah.
Impressions to me really don't mean that much because like Google is showing impressions when you're on like the 6th page and shit. So you're not going to get any clicks from that shit. Wait, I guess.
So and they're having a I'm reading a little more into what dude said in the message, and it is actually they're seeing it on a monthly basis, and that leads me to believe that there's a flux of a certain type of search every month, and they need to dig through their actual impressions and see what those searches are for those time periods, because those might be completely unrelated keywords that you do not need traffic on. And if that's the case, you might be able to clean up the optimization. If they're feeding you a ton of impressions that don't make sense for the page, I would start looking into cleaning it up personally. What do you think of when you hear that, Craig? Like 58,000 and 41 clicks.
I mean, impressions and clicks, for me, I'm not too fussed, like Brad says, in impressions. If I'm getting a lot of clicks, of course, I think, that's all I really fucking care about, to be honest. If you're getting clicks onto something, at least you're getting your traffic right. And then obviously, if that's not converting, then you can tweak your offering on the page, tweak the page, change the calls to actions and everything. Getting those clicks is the most fucking important thing for me. Everything else can be adapted thereafter.
I think people start to forget that sometimes seeing like a low, like he talks about his CTR and percentages, and sometimes like lower CTR is better, dude. Like sometimes like you want to see less impressions. Like if you have a big drop off in impressions, but your clicks remain the same or go up, like it's not a bad thing. And I think people forget that there are metrics like in YouTube. Like if you have a dropping CTR, sometimes that's an indicator of a good thing when you start to be shown in other places rather than in your own lists and things like that. So paying attention to like what really is inside of that, and like when there's drops in impressions, like from updates, like taking a look, I see it a lot where people are freaking out because they're losing impressions, but then when you really filter and you go look at what's lost, there's not really anything important lost. It's all a bunch of nonsense freaking impressions anyway. So it's important to keep that in mind. I think that this person could do well with kind of analyzing where those impressions are.
Yeah.
Any limit on number of 301s, Mike?
I think that the testing that was done back in the day was like 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about chain 301s. I'm talking about like throughout the entire site. Like
I wouldn't worry, not myself.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen anything that would do it. I mean, if you start having other indicators and they do a manual review of what's going on with your site, maybe. But
usually you should, as long as you're doing 301s for the right reason, then you're fine.
This is funny, dude. So this guy bought a domain, or he bought a business and he got a website.
Yes.
They bought a small competitor and the website came as part of the deal. It's an e-commerce store and they don't really do e-commerce, it looks like. And so all he can think of is adding links to the main sites. It's a strong one-word domain, so I was wondering if selling the domain was an option. What would you do if you got a site that had 20 years of history as an e-com store, guys?
I'd probably build it as an e-com store.
I think that's the right way to look at it, dude. Like, I mean, I think looking at it like it's not worth anything is the wrong way. Yeah, you can add links to your main site.
I mean, we've dealt with facilities that were selling, it was a group of facilities, and they were selling one of them, and they got to keep the fucking website somehow.
Funny, dude.
It was ranking for all kinds of state level terms, all that shit. Like a bunch. I don't want to name them off, but like a bunch of solid fucking terms, and it was generating leads. And the people were gonna rebrand the business anyway. I was like, wait, we got to keep the site? Yeah, they get to use it for like a month, then we get it back. I'm like, why would they not? They're like, they don't look at online assets as assets, so it's just crazy. I was like, I would prefer to have the site over the fucking business because I know I can make money with that anywhere. I don't get it, but yeah, that's very common. I found out.
It's kind of funny how often it happens. I mean, I see it a lot that the domains are just kind of like second thoughts and no one gives a shit about it. Like, kind of interesting.
It blows my mind, but I guess when you're not in this realm, then it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like there's another question I saw that was about images. Like, why do SEO bots like Ahrefs and stuff? Why do they crawl images, right? So, I mean, to me, that's very obvious, but I guess it's not very obvious to people that don't think like this, you know? There's a dude from an agency that's buying links. They buy with decent DA and low spam score, so they're buying based on
what should their DA be, Mike?
whatever they feel like they got to put a limit on, dude.
Yeah.
What's your target DA, Craig?
Yeah. What do you shoot for, like as quick as possible?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't particularly look for it. I'm looking at the domains that are pointing to it.
So you look at DR. What's your target DR then?
Or DR, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to be going. But listen, I've had some good DR20s that have been sat there, and you know, once you pop a website on them and shit like that, you know, it's popped right up. You've done a bit of work on it, so you know, I probably, if you're pushing me to say a target DR, then I'm going to look for 20 and above, because if it's been offline for a while, then of course that DR is going to fucking drop. Once you repurpose that website, they very often.
What about your trust flow to citation flow ratios?
Fuck your trust flow ratio.
How do you look for the edging?
Yeah. How hard do you edge normally?
Probably, I go 7 pixels to the left. That's how hard I go.
Yeah, you get it right there. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that 7 pixel range is the sweet range for sure.
That's what they say. Yeah.
If you shift it 7 pixels, you know, you get that right. That's
once you start going over 7 pixels, it's just too much.
Yeah, it actually starts to add that as spam score once you go over that 7 pixel mark. It does it by a multiplier of 13.5.
Yeah, 13 and 3/4, I thought, but yeah, it's close enough.
Right. So the guy's buying by DA and spam score from Moz, which automatically I like what that.
Speaking of spam score, Craig, I know you use Spamzilla. How much weight do you put behind their spam analysis? Like if I drop a bunch of domains in there, is it worth doing that in your opinion?
Nah, I think, you know, it flags up a lot of stuff that I wouldn't consider spam. Yeah. You know, your spam score goes up for stuff that
they look at way back and shit, right?
Yeah. So, nah, I wouldn't take it into account at all, to be honest. And I know that seems ridiculous, but also when you look at other tools, so if you're going to do a disavow, right, and you go to a tool like SEMrush, and they're saying, you know, these are toxic backlinks because you've used a money term or whatever it might be, then who the fuck? And no disrespect to SEMrush, because I love SEMrush, but who are they to tell us what a fucking money keyword is? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What anchor do you use?
Yeah, you're just like, fuck. And you know, that's flagging as toxic. So I think, you know, when it comes to Mike said this a million times, it's a maths calculation that someone's doing. There's a formula there, and then it's saying that's spam. And for me, I can't take that seriously because, you know,
especially when they're taking something like archive and look at the history of the design of a site, dude. I've got sites that look like complete dirt and spammy and shit.
I think a lot of it is they look for like the foreign text and stuff like that. It does. I mean, if I want to just like scrape a bunch of them and then you know, run my minimum RD and stuff like that, I'll do that and then drop the list in there.
Honestly, I would always be making sure that I have some secondary checks just to not lose shit.
Yeah. Always, yeah. But I also like it's just a way to easily filter out as much shit as possible. So it brings my list that I actually have to hand check way down. It's just a way to be lazy.
I mean, you might have false false
yes,
positives.
that's the you're getting rid of shit that you might not get rid of is the only issue.
But you save time. So it's a
you do save time. Yeah. So like the other day, like that's what I did when you're like, hey, we need a domain for such and such state or whatever.
Yeah.
Hang on. So I went through a list that I'd already sent through there, and I'm like, these should all be not spammy. So I went through it, double checked it, and sent it over, and it took 2 minutes.
Well, so the guy that's buying these links based off of these metrics that are third-party metrics then goes and he says, what is it? It's
we launder them hard.
So he says they have no traffic, and he's asking if the lack of traffic suggests that they played with the authority algorithms for. They don't say it, but I think of did they scam Moz basically, but not fooled Google, and that's a big thing to look out for. Is that
yes, more than likely would be the answer, right?
Yeah. And honestly, if I'm building sites and buying links, I'm not necessarily looking at that crap. I'm looking at things like what's going to happen in 6 months to what I'm building. Like, I see people that go out and they build edits, they buy guest posts, they build all this stuff. And there's providers all over the place that sell these things. But at 6 months, you've got like 20% link, you got like 80%, 90% link loss. And, so you buy 10 links and you've got one freaking left that's published after 6 months. And that's just not efficient in the long run. So I don't even think people are like analyzing their purchases properly at all most of the time, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I look at, I try and look at referring domains before anything. As long as I do know, with our process, if I'm just looking for expired, I know that they're going to have links from those seed sites because that's what I scrape to find the initial list. So then I just methodically go through. I'll rank by RD. Usually you can cut off the top like 5 to 10% because they're going to be spammed as fuck, but not always. So I look at them real quick and then just go down the list.
Back to the linking, but like laundering the pixels, you really do have to use like a gallery plugin for WordPress. You have to use some particular WordPress plugins to launder the pixels properly.
Look up Pixel Launderer. It's a WordPress plugin.
It's WP Pixel Launder.
Yeah. It's the icon is like a washing machine. You'll know it.
It's a black washing machine.
Yeah.
Flavia has a question. Does it matter anymore if you publish scheduled articles or more than once?
You better off.
We inadvertently ran a test, and it was interesting. So we saw a huge spike in traffic on one of our client sites, and it was because I remember the dates because I looked at them afterwards, and one of them was Valentine's Day. So February 14th is when we published a shit ton of articles, all interconnected, all clustered, everything. We did that because they had sold one of the facilities, so we had all this content built up on the other site. So we took all of that and put it on the site that they still owned, like just 3-4 months worth of content. Boom, all on one day, all published on fucking Valentine's Day. By the 22nd, you saw a huge ass spike. I think I showed the graph in one of the NFG webinars recently.
So yeah, there's always we're always publishing at least 2 months at once is what really comes down to. Here's the deal. It depends on how you set up your SEO. Like if you're doing SEO for clients, or you're doing like a content plan for yourself, and you're publishing new content, you're better off creating the whole cluster at one time, like the whole group of pages at one time,
having it index clustered,
and publishing it all at once. Like your EAT will be superior than if you publish it piece by piece, no question. So yes, if you publish all,
then it's easier because you don't have to go back and okay, this is published. I can I can link from here to here now and all that shit. No, I'd
The
rather
whole
do
get rich blogging thing that people do, where they they don't make a plan and they just go out and they publish a thing by thing, this by this. There are many reasons why those people become clients of SEOs after core updates, and this is one of them.
Well, I mean, I look at that as more of like a social media type thing. Like you're just publishing to TikTok
it's
or
velocity.
Instagram or anything, and you've got to get the eyeballs on as it comes out.
Right.
It's not going to be the long-term investment like we traditionally look at SEO.
The velocity posts that were happening for like a few months there, like a month ago, 2 months, 3 months ago, all these people were coming up with these insane like velocity numbers and all these impression increases. Like a lot of the times when you looked at them, they're all bullshit impressions and they all lost a lot of shit after the fact. You are much better off publishing everything that Google wants to see at one time to make yourself an authority, no matter what site it is or if you're local or national or whatever. If you want to do like the blogging, like Brad said, that's what news sections are for. That's what a blog section is for informational based content or, product and then cluster supporting.
Newly relevant information like news.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Not just anything in the world, but like Brad said, tied towards social media in the market, tied towards something in the market. They are different. Like we've always on our publishing sites.
But I heard that social media is going to be bigger than
it is.
SEO, Mike.
Absolutely, it is.
I heard it makes more sense to put more time and effort into Facebook posts than it does actually ranking stuff now. Is that true?
Yes, you have to.
And then if you internally link spam your stuff, then I don't know what. You better go back and read the quality guidelines.
Quality guidelines.
Yeah,
that was
to
fun.
be honest. We're just making fun of people.
But it does. It makes sense if you want to take a look at what Google has said about being an authority on a piece of content or a market. How do they do that? They do that by knowing that you're talking about the right shit. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. If you mention the right things in the right places, then you're an authority. If you don't mention the right things or you miss a couple of them, then you're not an authority. So if you publish half of a cluster or half of a group and you missed a bunch of on-page optimization on all of those, like you're not mentioning what you should on page, well, you're now subpar to somebody who has all of that already published.
And you've got to wait for them to come back and recrawl all of your shit.
Which if you continually do that, you're just making it a little harder for them to care about you every time you do it. So
it's kind of like me and Mike. I make it harder for him to care about me every time,
dude. Every freaking time. But yeah, we've been looking at it a lot lately, and it is definitely a factor that you should take into consideration.
Talking about social media, Adam Hawthorne's asking, is there any benefit with using plugins that scrape content from social platforms and then post them onto WordPress?
So this is where you start getting it. Go ahead.
I've never successfully built a money site that way, but I'm not saying it's not.
I've only had them not a full site. No, I've only had them as like, okay, here's what's going on in the industry.
Yeah.
And having a section, like again, for something to leverage IFTTT with or RSS feeds with is something like that. And instead of just one little piece at a time, it's better to mash it up, in my opinion, because then you'll get, if you can scrape and categorize, or you get the feeds categorized with those plugins and they're actually pulling in things based on what you've looked at for the market, then you can actually build support for your site that makes sense and leverage velocity.
That's kind of like going back to vCracken. What was that, 2012, 2013, somewhere in there?
Absolutely.
That worked well for a while, but I just don't think it's enough to stay indexed now.
I mean, the same concept in 2005 is why I started writing this stuff like Social Explosion and things. So it was to get the RSS feeds in from smaller sites, take the authority and take the publish on it, and then put that out into social media and pull that traffic in.
That is exactly what the Ryan Holiday book talks about.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude. I mean, that's what this is. It's like Russell Wright called it the right thing. It's your golden frame. Like if you set this up, like it's all tiers. I go back to it's all tiers. So like when we wrote the software for that, for indexation and for publishing, for just like that.
That worked for DA back in the day, like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, dude. It's still stupid what you can do.
I ran because I was being cheap because I was broke. I was running the lowest one for like a few months, and it was a DA in the 20s. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Bro,
was
it's
2012,
the
2013.
number of
But yeah.
websites that I saw that would publish for 1 month and then just shut everything off, and it would still be indexing a year later. It's stupid. Like when you do it right and you seed it properly, it still does it. It's kind of funny, actually.
What was the other one that we used the shit out of? I used it a bunch for Twitter and FCS Networker.
Oh yeah, dude. I actually
loved that.
Like,
That was my favorite tool that I had aside from you.
Yeah.
FCS.
My network in FCS was seriously like
Yes.
75,000 2.0s or something like that.
That's when indexing wasn't broken. So
Yeah.
I would build, it was when I was doing mini nets. So I'd build the main site, then I would build the entity around it, and then I would back all that up with FCS. So I would have like 3-4 pages of like my tiers indexed and ranking for all these different keywords and shit. It was awesome.
Yeah. No, it's concept works. Speeds are good. Let's see. Business growth has a question at the bottom.
Business growth ready.
So what you're looking for, especially so depending on what you're doing, if you're writing this by hand, then you're not in the same situation. But if you're publishing automated content, like you're using that kind of thing in those kind of content blocks, you are using those for uniqueness of the page and to change it. And that's like the whole concept of mashup. You know, when you're in a website that's from a magazine, you might take 10 articles out of the industry and put them together on a single page and comment and add commentary and have a page that's unique. That's how you want to think about these kind of items. If you have something locked down enough and you want to pull from social media and it's on point to what your page is about, that's great. But if you start just automating everything and pulling in RSS feeds everywhere, you might just be skewing the shit out of your pages and lowering your authority for those pages. So just be careful about what you publish into that page. But yeah, you can do that for sure. Use your related posts there to do the clusters. So like if you're setting it up with WordPress and you're setting up like clusters with posts so you can use the related post section, just make sure that you have that category unique to that cluster, that topic cluster inside, or subcategories or whatever, so that you can use your related post section to push the links over into the same topic cluster rather than randomizing and leaking it. So that's how you kind of use that silo structure with the clusters and the CMS. So be careful what you pull into what page. It's what it comes down to. Just optimize it.
Hopefully that helps you. Business growth ready.
Let's see, what do I got here?
Mike, you remember Biscuitville when you were in Greensboro?
Yeah, dude, that was tasty as hell, dude.
Yeah. So now they've got like spam biscuits, spam like spam on like a biscuit.
Did I buy it?
No, but I thought of us. So I'm driving by and they've got a billboard now. It's Spamalicious is the word that they use. I was like, I need that.
Spamalicious. Get a t-shirt, bro.
Yeah, I should if they had them. But Biscuitville, Greensboro Company. Anyway.
This is an interesting post. So what people think you need to know to become a good SEO. Keyword research and link building are the two things people think you need to know. What do you think it says you actually need to know, guys? I'm not saying this is right, but I'm interested in what you need to know to be
content generation is.
So he said one of them is content marketing, copywriting, competitor analysis, A/B testing, research analysis.
Yeah, but competitor analysis would go into fucking keyword research.
It does. It's kind of just semantics at this point. Research.
I mean, so would kind of, content writing. Like, what the fuck? You're just going to research some keywords and then send some links to a blank page?
Yeah. I think that what he's saying here, so they have basic coding, understanding the product and flexibility. I don't think they truly understand what SEO, the SEO part of SEO is, to be honest.
I don't understand it, dude. It's fine.
He says you need to know them enough to understand how SEO works and what you can do with it, how you can get better results, and how it impacts SEO. And then this is the best response is Patel and Nathan Gotch are useless. That's the response, dude.
I don't know. I feel like we'd all get along with Neil, you know?
Neil, Dude, I do think Neil's a front. I still think there's a team, and I think Neil's an actor.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's 100% actor? You don't think?
Oh no, I'm sure he knows SEO better than others.
I mean, I feel like it would be more along the lines of like he's got a fund, right? But he's not an analyst, so to speak. So like he's running the fund, he's the head of the fund, but he's got all these SEO minions. I mean, it's just like a large agency. Gary Vee, like, can he actually sit down and create a fucking LinkedIn ad? He might be able to, but I doubt it.
I mean, I think they probably can, but would they want to? Do I want to?
No, I fucking hate Facebook and
what's your least favorite part of this market that you've done as a task, Craig?
What was that?
What is the least favorite task you've done in your career repetitively? Like, what was the least favorite?
This show.
Nah, probably it would have to be tasks over the years that I found really taxing on the brain was like when I used to try and fudge websites together. I found that super stressful because I was shit at it. I wasn't confident at that, but also content writing is just the worst. It's the thing I hate the most personally.
The problem.
I hate hosting. Fucking setting up hosting is terrible.
Email settings.
No, just hosting in general. Like, something's gonna fuck up, and like something that should take me 10 minutes to set up hosting and a WordPress website and everything, it ends up taking like a fucking hour because something breaks, or I'm trying to set it up on a different IP, or just trying to cover your tracks.
I can hyper focus on that shit, but for me, it would be like talking to clients because 90% of the time I just don't want to talk to that person ever. I think that would be it for me.
But you stay on with clients for like 2.5 hours because you care.
I
don't. I'm like, Mike, we're like 30 minutes over on this. Let's this show.
That's one of the reasons I don't like them.
Yeah.
Some people like to just talk. Mike likes to talk.
I hate talking, actually. I like talking to certain people. I'll talk all day to certain people. I just don't like people that much.
I'm the same. If you're not the same wavelength, if you're talking to someone who doesn't get it, that can be draining.
I'm just afraid of offending people at this point in my life. I feel like that's my biggest issue.
Dude, I offend people all the time.
Well, yeah, I do. I do it unknowingly, probably too.
Yeah, for sure, I do.
Fuck them.
Fuck them all.
But Brian says Neil has admitted that he has a big SEO department.
Yeah, he would have to. So, yeah, it's expected.
He ain't writing the content. He ain't doing none of that stuff. He don't even write his own content.
He can't even fucking spell Neil Patel. Neil Patel is illiterate. He spells about as well as Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Dude, I am next Tuesday. You guys get to do this alone. I'm going to Universal Studios.
Nice.
You can call from there. Go to the chocolate factory.
If I call someone, it will be somebody to make sure a campaign doesn't fall apart. Other than that, I'm going to go pretend to be a wizard with Harry Potter.
I just let them burn like this,
Dude, I'm going to die. It's going to be 90 degrees over there, and it was 74 degrees yesterday, and it was so freaking hot, dude. I was sweating outside. Like, it's ridiculous, man.
You carry around one of those fans.
General blog, please give an idea about it. General, don't do that. That's my idea. Find something to specify.
Anyway, guys, we are at
3 minutes over. This is bonus content.
Yeah, no, Neil did come from Shoemaker, dude. I remember that. I remember when Neil popped up.
I remember that guy. Yeah.
Shoemaker was rad because he had the posts about making fun of freaking doctors and shit and telling them that I made more money last night asleep than you do all year. So shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, he was the one posting his AdWords checks, right? Or AdSense checks.
Yeah. Great freaking dude. Shoe Money.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he's funny. Old dude. Yeah.
Nerdy Williams.
Later, fellas.
Later, people. Catch you. Check the guys out. NFG SEO.
Yeah, fuck it. Don't go. Yeah.
/7. See you later.
Otis.